Hello everyone, it's Sheila back again. I'm just sitting here. It's almost 3:15. I'm just having a little bit of a rest because I've been busy in my garden trying to clear a lot of weeds that's been building up for quite some time, and some of them are really thick and it's between paving slabs. I have it's an old patio behind my outhouse, and used to be where my husband used to do a lot of work when he had anything to do with woodwork or sewing or using still saws or anything like that. It used to be his area for doing that, and I'm never really bothered with it. It's just full of junk and weeds. Weeds were terrible, and I'm going to have to clear that. It's such a mess, and I'll show you. I didn't show you it before I started. I should have. I'll show you what I've been doing. And it's a lot of bending up and down, and I can only bend up and down so many times. I've got to keep having a rest. I can probably work for about half an hour and then have a rest for about 15 minutes. So I thought, while I'm sitting here having a little bit of a rest, I'll do my daily video. I've even had to tidy myself up a little bit, comb my hair because the wind was blowing it all over the place. I have to look nice and tidy when we do these videos, You don't want to see us in the state that we can get in when the wind's blowing. And so anyway, this is what I've been doing. Well, this is where I live. Well, this is my little area. It's behind my outhouse. I have my compost bins, and that's my rhubarb and a cold frame. It's looking a little bit worse for where the wood's starting to rot. And I've been clearing the weeds. This is an outhouse behind my outhouse. And I've been trying to clear all the weeds out of here. I'm going to have to get somebody in to shift all the rubbish. This was my husband's, he called it his outside workshop. It's just like another patio where I can do things with this when I get it cleared. And if I keep at that, I might get it sorted today, and then I'm going to find somebody to shift all the rubbish, because they're all old paving, bits of paving slabs. There was an old door that's absolutely rotten, and my husband used to have where there was a lot of wood, he used to have a bench where he used to do things, but the wood's actually rotted and all that. Most of the benches just fell down to bits, and it's just a lot of rubbish in there that wants shifting. It'll probably cost me a bit to get somebody to do it, but it's worth it to get rid of the rubbish. And so I thought I was just having a little bit sit down for a while, and before I go out to do it again, I'll probably go make myself a cup of coffee. And I was going to do a little bit knitting, but I haven't washed my hands. They're not very clean, so I'm not going to touch my knitting while I'm sitting here. But I'd just like to mention on a little video I did yesterday. It was when my grandkids were, when my great grandkids. It was my granddaughter's partner, Craig, came up with the kids because she was at work and he only worked half day on the Friday, so we brought the kids up to me. And they just went wild in my garden, and somebody put a comment on. I said there was a cycle path just ran down the bottom of my garden, just outside my garden, and I happened to mention that, and I said there was a cycle path, and she said in the comment that she thought I had said there was a psychopath outside my garden. I said, no, there was no psychopath. That is definitely a psychopath that runs past my garden. The psychopaths were inside my garden, were throwing the soil all over the shop and digging in my newly planted vegetable plot, and you know, they were just up to all sorts. It was one of those days when I was glad when they went home. I'm going to have to sort of, I've got a little area at the moment. It's beside my compost bins, and there's a lot of weeds there, but there's a lot of buttercups, and I've left those buttercups because I've had a lot of bees in my garden. And you know, you should leave things like that for the bees. When all those buttercups die off and there's nothing left for the bees, I'm going to dig that area out, get rid of all the weeds and that in it. And when the kids come up, I can tell them that's their little bit. They can do whatever they like in it, but stay off mine where I've planted stuff, because by the time I get around to doing that, I'll have a lot more stuff planted in the garden. And well, the way they are, I mean, they were digging, and I had planted beetroot and I'd planted lettuce, and if they weren't digging in that, they were going round my little border up the top of the garden. They were throwing the soil, and the patio was just covered with soil and that, and I was getting really annoyed. I think I've never done as much shouting at the kids as I did, and they keep off this and get off that and stop throwing the soil around. And that was the 2-year-old mostly, but his 5-year-old brother thought, because it was okay for him to do it, so he started doing it as well. So both of them ended up getting told off. Like, when they first came, we took them for a walk around the tracks around where I live, because I knew what it was going to be like in the garden. I thought at least we'd be outside for at least an hour or something. They can have a run around out there before they start demolishing my garden. It's all right for them at their house. They haven't got like any vegetables or anything like that. Cheryl's just got a bit of grass and that, but they do dig in a little bit of soil that's there. They pull all the heads off her flowers that she had any flowers growing in. I think the tulips were pulling all the petals off, and that's what they do. They get up to in in my garden. It's okay in the winter because I don't play in the garden in the winter, but in the summer, well, at least after a while, I got told off that many times. I think I have a lot of toys and things in my outhouse, like scooters and bikes and things that Cheryl's brought up for them. You know, they just leave them in my outhouse for them to play with. So they started playing around on them, and that was a bit of a relief. It stopped them digging in the garden. That was when I cleared all the mess up. But I still had to tell him off now and again because he was trying to ride the scooter over where my lettuce was planted and my beetroot was planted. That's kids for you though. They don't see anything wrong with what they're doing. They just think it's play, you know, they can play and that, but not in my garden, they're not. So I think I've had a little bit of rest, so I've had time to tell you a little bit story about what went on and what I've been doing and that, and I can probably get back out in my garden because it's lovely and warm. It's been a nice day. The sun's not shining all the time. There's a lot of cloud, but it's still nice and warm. And where I live, I get the sun early in the morning on my back. It goes down. You have to actually follow the sun around the garden, but it does stay. So sometimes when I come up the top part of the garden where the sun's disappeared to come back into the house, it's quite chilly there sometimes, but it's quite warm today, so the temperature's just about right and the wind must be in the right direction. So I don't mind, you know, well the way I'm dressed, this is what I'm out in the garden because it's too hot to wear anything else at the moment. So that's my little bit for today, and I'll catch up with you another time and let you know any other rants I've got. So bye for now. Don't forget, thumbs up and subscribe.